Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As Joseph said, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the national deployment of Datex 2 in Norway. Norwegian Public Roads Administration, or NPRA for short, where I work, is in charge of the deployment in Norway. NPRA is a national road authority responsible for planning, construction and operation of the national road network. There are in total over 93,000 kilometers of public roads in Norway, of which the national or state-owned roads constitute about 10,500 kilometers. NPRA is the owner of traffic data and data collection equipment along the national road network, and is also operating 5 regional traffic management centers that are indicated as red dots in the map. And these management and information centers are collecting and disseminating a great deal of road traffic information via different channels. Now, moving on to Datex and what we're actually doing in Norway. One might say that the roadmap to Datex in Norway has been rather long and winding. From the late 90s, when NPRA signed the first Datex MOU up till today. As a result of a feasibility study carried out in the years 2009 to 10, a decision was made regarding the use of Datex 2 as the common standard for all types of real-time data from NPRA. The decision, or an important reason for this decision, was the European perspective, and especially in relation to the requirements in the ITS directive and action plan. The importance of efficient data provision has also been underlined in NPRA's ITS strategy and followed up further in an ITS action plan for NPRA. The strategy states that NPRA will contribute to Norway's compliance with the ITS directive for a coordinated and continuous service provision in Europe. Nice words, and we think that Datex, as standard for all real-time data from NPRA, is an important building block in this respect. On the next slide here, you can see an overall picture of how we're made our Datex node. From now on, NPRA wants to use Datex 2 as the common format for all real-time data, and introduce then a service layer in the data provision chain, which we hope will then in turn improve NPRA's role as data provider. The Datex node, as it is today, contains data from a number of NPRA systems, which you can see from the slide. Starting out on the left there, road weather data from little less than 300 road weather stations along the national road network. We got travel times, we got incidents, closed roads, roadworks and so on from the TIC system. We got CCTV images in. We'll soon have real-time air pollution or air quality data on board. So this is where it will all be gathered, and then on the top there you see our future users. Well, some of them have already signed up and is about to start. Get back to that. I'll get back to the VMS part of the Datex system in Norway in a minute. Yeah, it's taken a long time to get where we are today. We started the project in 2010, and by June last year, the first version of the Datex node was established, and we were ready to start testing. In the autumn, we got some test users on. Like here and Swedish Transport Agency, and also some national broadcasters and different users. And finally, after almost 4 years, on the 9th of May this year, we had a beta version of the national Datex service ready to be launched. So that was a big day for us. And from this date, then, our Datex node will be open to all service providers, media, and others, free of charge. The use of the data is regulated by something called the Norwegian License for Open Government Data, or NLOD for short, plus some additional terms of access set by NPRA. Link to NLOD and more information about these terms of access you will find on our website, vegvesen.no/datex. I'll get back to VMS. In parallel to the main project, a pilot for displaying travel times from the Datex node on VMS along one of the main roads into the city center of Oslo has been running. The pilot was running from December last year until April. We here also got to test the integration between the Datex node and the TMC system for the Oslo area, which contains, for instance, a lot of tunnels. There have been really positive results of this pilot. So there are no plans for further deployment focusing on the Oslo area, the E6 towards the Swedish border, and the E18 along the western side of the Oslo fjord. To conclude my presentation, I would like to come into some of the experiences we've made so far. Of course, we're kind of newcomers in this game, but still, we must say that so far our overall experience has been positive. We feel now that NPRA can focus more on its role as data provider and leave, for instance, application development to the market, more to the market. I'm not saying that we're not going to have any NPRA services for road users in Norway in the future, but still. In addition, we think Datex seems to meet the requirements from service providers more effectively than the previous XML formats used for the data provision from the TIC system. And not at least because language independent format, that's new for us, and we feel that's a big step forward. On the slightly more negative side, I have to say that it's been a time-consuming process. I'm optimistic. I'm not an ICT expert, so I just expect that things happen quickly. So I thought when we started in 2010 that, by the next year or so, we'll have something up and running, but no. The Datex node in Norway receives data from different NPRA systems, which have not been designed with the structure of Datex in mind. So we need a process of mapping and transferring data, in particular in relation to the TIC system, which is a huge and rather complex system. So this has been rather challenging. I will also mention that we think that location coding is not straightforward. there are some issues there. And the last point on my slide there is that could the model be a little bit stricter? We feel that there's a lot of optional elements, maybe too many. Maybe it would be easier to get something which is more similar from country to country if there weren't so many options. I'd just like to introduce you to my colleague, Mr. Paul Åserud from Vianova, who is technical coordinator of the Datex deployment in Norway. So if there are any technical questions afterwards, Paul will help me answering. And if there are other things to do with money or general things, I'll be happy to try to answer. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, so let's see. Are there any questions for Kjersti? Okay, there is nothing in the audience. I would have one. Because what I've noted in your slides is that you show various types of data that you feed into the system and obviously then provide to service providers. Some of them are well-established core content of Datex that has been around for ages. But there were other things that really struck my attention that are not really in Datex yet. So you mentioned bicycles. Oh. You mentioned vehicle registration data. Yeah. So you must have been looking into how do I use Datex in my overall concept for types of data which are not there yet, so you end up in the extensions corner of Datex. And I don't know who of you is best suited to respond to that, but how was your experience with that? How did you do it? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Was it good? Was it bad?
It's correct that we've been looking at some other things that than was actually part of the standard. But I think maybe Paul could come up and fill in with some details on that. For instance, there was a point earlier today asking about the need for a light version for app developers and things. That's something Paul has looked at. I know we're trying.
Yeah. To be clear about your question, you said that the traffic registrations data for vehicles.
Vehicle registration data is not in Datex per se. Bicycles were mentioned.
Yes, bicycle. We are experimenting with bicycle counting in Norway as we speak now. And we are planning to maybe make one extension for getting those data into the Datex node. For the vehicle part, we actually use the counting data possibility that is in Datex today. Yeah.
So you managed to do all this on her diagram without, let's say, extending data?
No, we do have some extensions. We do. I think the number is around 10 or 12. And I've asked Mr. Jonas Edeberg to actually to make them available for the possible standardization. At least have a look at them. So he will bring that with him into the committee, I think, as far as I know, because we have used him also as a consultant for the Datex node in Norway.
Jonas is sort of our guy into the European family.
Yep. Okay.
Are there any further questions? No. Then thank you very much, Kjersti.